Hey folks, welcome to Billy Maine's 88 Storytime. This is Mike. I'm the used to be a webmaster. Now I'm right into this Storytime. I started during the beginning of COVID and we've been doing it for 4.5 years. And it's changed a lot. It's different. I use this to basically just give a rundown on things that probably happen in the media. Either you've caught it or you've missed it, or I want to get really into it and get really into the nuts and bolts of it. And I'm lucky enough to have the ability to do that. And the woman that does the webmastering does great work, and I will probably start writing again more. Definitely will be. That's kind of a segue into something that's going to be happening later on this year. But right now, I'm going to cut my teeth through where it's been a long month. Happy July. It's been crazy in terms of the stuff that's been going on. Don't really want to go there. There have been so many good updates. First of all, let's get this. I want to talk to anyone right now who is dealing with give me a break, medical issues in a heat wave. It's really important that people stay hydrated, properly fed, properly nutrition, proper protein, all that stuff. It's so hard, especially if you have hidden disabilities like incontinence, you sweat a lot, you're obese, you have an ostomy, or you have a issue like that. Those things can go really bad really fast, and even if they're not dangerous, they can be really, really, really annoying. And so, seriously, it's going to be hot next week in Maine. It's going to be hot. It's been hot this year everywhere. Las Vegas, Nevada has broken all-time records for the last month. 118 degree days were never a thing, and now they are. So that's really important, and it's really, really, I cannot stress this enough. As a 50-year-old that has CP, who does this, who knows his body, I've had issues. And if I have issues, anybody can have issues. And that goes with COVID. There's 3 strains out right now. They're all really dangerous because they have an extra spike that most people aren't used to. There's so many people I know that have gotten it this past month. It's scary. I do mask when I go inside anywhere. I use a KN95. I buy them on Amazon because I can't find them locally, or I would support local businesses. And I really think people need to think about having, if you're going to be inclusive, you need to have a virtual part of any activity. If you can't watch it at home, it's not accessible. People who are homebound, or people who can't travel, or people who can't deal with heat for long periods of time, or people who have bladder control issues, don't want to deal with heat and bladder control problems, and bladder issues, bladder management products and heat and stuff like that. Plus the COVID, the heat index has been high in Maine basically all this month until this week. So with that in mind, I want to get through some encouraging news on Stop the Shock. Okay, this is from Nancy Weiss. She's been leading votes against the FDA ban of the dead bird center using the graduated electric shock, and it's the only place in the world that uses this. They use it on people with severe behavioral disorders like autism, and it's been going on for longer than the ADA's been in business, but we're talking like they started trying to ban this in the late 80s and they're still doing it, so it's been about 40 years. Great news. Last night, the voices of hundreds of advocates made a difference. Advocates from across the country met with, called, or emailed their representatives to make sure that their new language that had been added to the Agricultural Development and FDA Appropriations Act, language that would have exempted GRC from FDA's proposed ban against using electronic shock devices for punishment, was not included in the bill after markup. It may sound like a minor when gangs routine words removed from a giant multi-page appropriations act, but that one sentence would have rendered the FDA's 10 years of study and work, as well as the work of advocates who achieved the ban, fruitless. The FDA's proposed ban applies to only one facility in this country, because the JRC, the Judge Rottenberg Center, is the only country that uses horrifically painful electronic shock as punishment. It makes no sense then to accept from the ban the very facility from which the ban was intended to apply. Advocates organized by the Autistic Self-Advocacy Network met with every member of the House Appropriation Committee to help them understand the impact of including a sentence that would have exempted JRC from the ban on accepted electronic shock devices, when if it is enacted by the FDA. We made sure that legislators knew that the electronic shock used at JRC was not applied in response to dangerous behaviors, as the faculty asserts, but also as punishment for a laundry list of innocuous behaviors such as getting out of one's seat and taking one's eyes off their work. We also assured representatives we understood that the shock used at JRC is not mild, tingly reminder as a faculty sometimes present it, nor is it like a hard pinch or a bee sting, but instead it is a pollen horse screaming agony and global shock. James Eason, a professor of biomedical engineering at Washington Lee University, a renowned expert on physical effects of electricity on the human body, described the lowest level shock delivered at JRC as being roughly twice what pain researchers have said is tolerable for most human beings. We made sure that people we met with understood that the GED-4 used at JRC delivers a 90 milliamp shock for as long 2 long seconds, as compared to a shock delivered by electric fence at just 4 milliamperes, or a cattle prod which delivers 10 milliampere shock. Seriously. We are technically not done with this advocacy effort. ASAM wrote the Ag FDA bills headed to the Rules Committee and they expected a hearing on the 22nd. There's relatively confidence we nipped that risk in the bud, and sincere appreciation to anyone that's helped out with this grassroots advocacy, and it really truly has been grassroots advocacy for like the first meeting I ever went to in disability rights, that was a professional meeting that I got paid for by the school, was on the JRC. So again, it's kind of crazy that this is still going on. And there's a lot of other news too. And yesterday with the ninth anniversary of the shooting in Lewiston. It's spare time in Spengy's. It's hard to get into that without having some sort of severe issue because, yeah, and so the Army released a report which blamed the hospital and the police for not taking care of Mr. Carr. Although 3 commanders were reprimanded afterwards. Apparently, Carr was placed in a psych hold on the 2nd and tried to get out, but they placed him the 2nd of August in 2023, so like about almost a year ago when he was in. If you've been following the case, they put him in a hospital psych ward in New York. He actually checked himself out the day after on the 3rd, after being told that he couldn't leave on the 2nd. So I don't know what else to say. I mean, it just, the police tried. There was obviously a documented breakdown in communications between the police and the Army. Never went through. I mean, the state trooper, the Saginaw County Sheriff never knew the extent of what was going on. And, that's one of the big issues with this that just can't be understated, is how messed up this whole was. And now the victims are now asking the Pentagon to continue with the investigation. And hopefully that will continue because people need answers. There's 31 people are dead and injured in my community. We're a very small community. This isn't like New York City or Boston. This stuff doesn't happen here. This is the 10th worst shooting in American history. It happens a mile and a half from where I live. I went to camp. I went to my family. I've got some of the best memories of my life there, and it's really hard to deal with. To be completely honest, even now, 10 years later, 10 months later, 9 months later, sorry, over 9 months later, it's hard. There's a grassroots activist group in Michigan called I Love You, Lead On, and I posted a link on the Ability Maine Facebook page. They have a lot of really great Zoom stuff going on. Jerry's room where we're talking about assisted suicide next month, I believe between August 5th to 7th, which is really interesting. They have some really great speakers. This is a Zoom link conference. They also have, if you go to the website, they also have links to Danceability in Detroit, Michigan, but you can sign up for a date in August. It's a sliding free scale. They want people from around the nation to go in and do a Zoom Danceability thing. You can actually join that Danceability. It's a sliding free scale from free to $130. It's 12 sessions. It's going on now. It says that link. Again, it's really cool. I think there needs to be a lot more virtual stuff going on. And unfortunately, it isn't, and it sucks. And for people with medical issues and people who are terrified of COVID, and people who are terrified of, just being sick and having to cope with health risk and heat and indexes and everything, it can be really hard. And especially with older folks and frail folks. And I do consider myself frail, so that's hard. A couple days ago, I just hit my feed, and kind of cool and it's awesome and it's not at all. It's a real thing. Like you can Google it. SpongeBob autism. It shows up in the article. The voice actor that's been playing SpongeBob for 25 years definitely says that he has autism. And when I did the research for Google, it seems like it's been an ongoing theme for years that people that fans of this body has autism. So like this is basically just kind of playing into the fandom, confirming that yes, you talk about autism, but like the thing that's also really cool about this, and that is really even more of a interesting thing is that he calls that a superpower, and I'm like, yeah, disability is a superpower. You need this. You need a superpower to get through your disability. It's not easy. It's really hard. It's extremely hard. You gotta have the determination, the stamina, the capacity, the persistence, everything to get through a disability. The direction, the focus, it's hard. Discipline. I mean, really, sometimes you just say, I gotta go to sleep, and just, if I don't, it's gonna be really bad for my health. And it's not fun, but you do it. And, so, again, coming to this, the one thing I'm going to talk about is a new memoir that the nephew of former President Trump, published, Fred Trump, in which he says that Trump has said that Trump with disability might be better off dead because their medical bills cost so much. Apparently, there are some disabled members of that family that he was trying to get money for it, cover for, and apparently that was Trump's reaction. They're not really close families. There's a lot of animosity. It's been going on for years. It's well documented. The book comes out Tuesday. I mean, it's well written. I haven't read it. It was in the Times yesterday. They got it in Vets copy. They published that one bill now in it. And 34 years ago today, the ADA was passed, and that has been a cultural milestone, touchstone in my life since the day it passed. I don't even know what I was doing the day it passed. I knew it was 5 years later. I was at school and I watched the 5-year anniversary. It was like a thing in Bangor and Portland with Mike Reynolds, who was a camp counselor, worked for one of the Communist senators, I think he worked for Olympia's office at the time, and he met with President Bush with two people. The 10th anniversary was in D.C. I was coming home from that early. I was there for parts of it. I saw parts of the 88th 10th anniversary. Met Judy Heyman there, hung out with her at the Ellipse, which is beautiful. I got to see one of the guys from Peter Hall there. He sang a song for me because I missed the actual performance. It was very, very hot. The 15th, I was at the Portland Public Library. The 20th, I was at the Boston Commons watching a thing. It was right after my mom died. The 15th, I have no idea where I was. The 20th, I was at the Boston Commons. The 25th, I was watching at the Portland Public Library. The 30th was virtual, and the 31st is virtual. Historically, the ADA has done a lot more for people with disabilities than what people want to believe. Before the ADA was passed, you couldn't go everywhere. Now you still can't go in everywhere, but you can go to a lot more places, a lot more federal buildings, a lot more restaurants, a lot more malls and restaurants. I know that the Maine Mall was a big place before and after the ADA, and even still it has like some of the best changing areas in Maine in terms of disability needs and stuff like that, so that's very helpful. And a lot of my friends meet up there. But I would still do that. It's just, and I do. It's been one of those times when I don't go out much because I've been in pain. It's been hot and I've been tired. The ADA has been interesting because parts of it are really great, like the accessibility stuff, and making sure that ramps work and they fit and people can get at them and stuff, and they're not taking any chances of building a ramp that's like got an incline that's too high or too low or whatever. But just enough so that you can get it done right. And it's my friend of mine kind of said it was kind of sad that the ADA Civil Rights Act is younger than they were, and they're right. It should have been passed a long time ago, like when the IDEA was back in '35. And you look at the ADA doesn't even have a community mandate. That wasn't even a thing until Olmsted, and Olmsted doesn't always necessarily work as a great mandate for that either. I mean, it just doesn't. People are told that they are put in nursing homes against their will daily without people knowing, because they don't have access to the knowledge to get a hold of the PNA, and they have no knowledge about how Maine as a state reveres aging in place as its number one priority, or they don't have access to personal attendance services. And that's hard. I mean, you guys. So the ADA isn't perfect for anything. The ADA has been abused. Clint Eastwood was once sued because his hotel or one of his properties, it was commercial property, was not ADA accessible, so he wanted to have some sort of ADA notification act passed, and at the time Mark Foley, the Florida speaker, who was later convicted as, or seen as some sort of sexual perv, had some sexual stuff going on, introduced this bill. It didn't go anywhere. He spoke at a committee hearing. I was supposed to go, but I had a funeral to go to, so I couldn't make it. And then in 2005, 2005, he released $1 Million Baby, which is a movie that basically took the book that was based on, used the characters and changed the plot entirely. And the plot, the woman lives and becomes in real life, she actually becomes a fight coach, and she becomes a good one. But in the book, she dies. In the movie, she dies a horrible death, and it got tons of Academy Awards. And, there was a bunch of activism against it, and I happened to be part of that. So in a cultural sense, it was really interesting before the internet to have 700 people write about your website, million.bigot.org, and it was all about the ADA and how Clint Eastwood was breaking the law and stuff, and that was right before And we had essays from people who were big and popular and have yet been, who now aren't so big and popular, and that was interesting and good and everything. And you know, I mean, I don't know. I guess the thing I have with the ADA is that it didn't touch anything with Social Security and how much people with disabilities earn while they're on Social Security. It doesn't really look at disability other than a capitalist viewpoint of how much money you can make per month versus like how much sorry, I'm thinking of the word, how much impairment you have. I think that would be a much more important thing. You know, and you know, to base on that would be a lot easier. It would take a lot more time, and I mean, the process to get Social Security is ridiculous now. So I don't know how to change it, but it definitely should be changed, and it should be changed as soon as possible. But you know what? Today we have the ADA. We have the first disability. You know, we have July is Disability Pride Month. We haven't had that for a long time. You know, a lot of people tell us it's not weird. It's weird to be proud of being disabled. You know what? It's all I've ever been. I've been disabled my entire life, and I get more disabled it seems every year. But I'm coping. I adapt. I exist, and I thrive because that's what you have to do. And that's what the ADA makes us do. The ADA was society adapting to people with disabilities and letting them into society. And Homestead was society letting people more into society, more people into society. And, you know, and I think 20, 35 years ago, I think that was fine. I think right now, we're in an age of society where we tend to separate people, and that's really pretty obvious in the past month. We see people, the way they talk and the way they look at things, and this past month's been crazy. This past year's been crazy in my hometown. And maybe we need to figure out how to do more cooperative talking and cooperative building, cooperative, you know, skill sharing and stuff like that. I'm not saying I have all the expertise or all the knowledge to make this all work out perfectly. But I mean, the ADA led to so many new things, you know, a generation below me, you know, those kids grew up demanding the ADA. It's like, look, we had it, you know, I'm 50, people who are 30 have always had it. You know, they just don't see why we do not have this. Like, it's a federal law. I'm sure that's completely different than the way I look at things. And people who are younger than that, you know, they must be that much more brazen and bold in it. That's great. And it must be awesome to live in that world because, you know, I wasn't able to. And that's okay. I mean, I never thought that I'd be using the ADA to, like, make sure I can get access to my medical cannabis because I have epilepsy, you know. I noticed I would have epilepsy. But it matters. It's a very good thing. It's a great achievement. You know, there's, you know, as a result of the ADA, you've got people talking about, you've got Alice Conway, who was from Auburn, Maine, who grew up in Lewiston, who was in the first Head Start class ever at Montello School in 1964 with a pilot program, and that was the very first federal program that included people with disabilities at all, or children with disabilities, I should say. So, and Alice Conway did a lot to get the Air Carrier Transport Act passed, and if you look, ACTA would be Alice Conway Transport Act, but she didn't want it named after her. So, that was it with that. And it's people like that, that, you know, getting to know Alice and getting to see what Alice went through in terms of just basic access and the fight she had helped us all to get better. And I swear, for me, as an activist, it helps me out to have been with her for so long, and to have been good friends with her. You know, she died a dozen years ago, and you know, there's so many more things I could learn from her, and I don't know what I would say if she was here now, but you know, I mean, obviously I miss her beyond words. And there's a lot of people I miss. I mean, this COVID thing has been difficult. This shooting's been difficult. Not going to concerts is weird because, you know, I used to go to shows all the time. And I do apologize. I've been really, just been doing this as long as I can. And, I've got more to say. I'm just really at the point where I'm just exhausted beyond words. And I'm having a hard time just keeping my breath. I want to say, I want people to be able to understand my voice. And I think if I talk much longer, I won't be able to do that. So, with this, I leave you with I'm going to be posting a lot more stuff on Ability Maine soon. Trying to keep up. I will be trying to be doing something next week for the first. And I hope you have a great EDA celebration. The Paris Olympics are starting really soon. They've started right now. They're broadcasting a little bit later on the East Coast, but the live simulcast is right now, which means the Paralympics is going to be starting in about 3 weeks' time. I don't have that in front of me, but Paralympics were awesome. I went to them in 1996, 28 years ago. I was lucky to see them when it's actually that's where I first met Judy Human, before I met her at the EDA. So with that, have a great day and enjoy your EDA anniversary. Peace.